And I will say GudeLaurance as we do. 3, 2, 1. GudeLaurance!
Paul Goody, how's it going?
I have blown out the audio immediately,
Awesome.
and now I will be quiet so that it's totally unhelpful. I want to let you know also that I did something pretty smart today,
What did you do?
which is I'm doing laundry. And I was like, oh, I should probably switch the laundry before I start the podcast because that's going to be an hour. And then I was like, hey, wait a second. Maybe it's better not to have the laundry running when I'm recording audio. Maybe I could just...
Is your laundry in the basement?
It is.
There you go.
Oh, and that was something interesting. Again, it's hard, Ben, because you're not on TikTok. You don't see the things that all the people see. But there was one guy from Great Britain who was on TikTok who was like, and I'm going to do a bad British accent. And please keep in mind, those of you listening at home and Ben, this is me actually attempting a British accent.
Let's hear it.
What do you mean your laundry isn't in the kitchen? What do you mean it's not in the kitchen? I can't believe. Wait, that's not British at all.
Is that an Indian person doing a British accent?
Oh no, Ben! This is horrible. This is horrible. I almost no.
I know that. I know that's not what you were doing, but that's what I heard.
Jeez. Okay. Oi, why don't you put your washing machine in the kitchen? Ya yanks.
You wanker.
So basically that was what it was, is they were confused as to why we don't have our washing machines in the kitchen.
Right.
And I was confused as to why anyone would have their washing machines in the kitchen. And then Jennifer Pratt, my wife, Jennifer fact checker, people who have listened to earlier episodes of the podcast might remember when she did that for us. She would fact check things that we did wrong. And what she told me was the reason why people in Great Britain oftentimes have their washing machine in the kitchen is because they're older houses sometimes prior to there being indoor plumbing. And so when new plumbing was added to the homes, it's just a one main line, and you don't want to totally repipe your house to put your washing machine somewhere else. So you just put it where all the other things that have the main water line are in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The kitchen, and so like the kitchen and the bathroom are lined up. Yeah. And so I guess you could also put a washing machine in the bathroom, but normally the kitchen is larger than the bathroom. So
in most modern American homes, you'll find the washer dryer, if it's not in the garage, in the bathroom. But my washer dryer in my apartment is technically in the kitchen. That's just because my apartment is so tiny, there's really nowhere else for it to go.
Right, and that's similar anyway to the idea. But yeah, so that was a while back. There are no shortage of people on TikTok who are complaining about things that Americans are doing. And
there's a lot to complain about, that's for sure.
It's a standard thing. And why don't we just jump into it, Ben? This is Ben and Paul Save the World. Ben and Paul End Racism Edition. So here we go. This is my idea. Now, Ben, for this conversation to happen, first of all, you and I need to be on an even playing field. And I think that we already are, but just in case, white privilege exists. Can we agree on this?
Yes, white privilege does indeed exist.
Because sometimes you'll want to talk to somebody about this, and they're like, I don't think there is such a... And then you're like, okay, well, then there's nothing more to talk about. So...
Sometimes one of us lives in the Midwest, and so probably runs into that more than the other.
I will say, Ben, and I brought this up before, when I lived in the Pacific Northwest and was working with people who didn't live in Seattle, who were coming into Seattle to work from other places in the Pacific Northwest. They too had problems.
Yeah, no, I believe that. You don't have to go too far outside of like the core here in Seattle to see Trump signs.
In fact, when I was working, this might be news to you. I don't think so. I think I mentioned this to you, but maybe not. One of the reasons I was like, maybe I could move back and get a job in Illinois was that the people that I was working with, I thought at the time were no better than the people that I would be working with in Illinois as far as inclusivity and that kind of thing. And it turns out I was 100% right. In Illinois, there are people who believe in the idea that there's white privilege and it's bad, just like there were in Seattle. So that's good.
We've gone on a bit of a tangent, though. We both agree that white privilege exists.
Yes.
And some people, believe it more than others in certain locations, whatever.
So the other thing that I think that we can both agree on is that white privilege expands as older white people die off so that it maintains its control. And so as an example, there's how the Irish became white. Then again, it's expanded to include Italian folks, things like that. At first, it was white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, WASPs, we would hear, and then it expands as things go on. And a thought that I had just a couple of days ago is, if it expands like that, can it also be shrunk?
Contract, as they say.
Is it possible to contract it? As people who have white privilege, can we kind of shrink it by not using it when we can? And so the idea is basically this: you use it, but you don't. And when I say you use it, I'll get to that in just a second, but you don't perpetuate it. Meaning, so white privilege, we could even go far to say white supremacy, I think. The idea, two people going up for the same job, one of them is a white person, one of them is not a white person, and you hire the white person because that perpetuates white supremacy, white privilege, all that kind of thing. In the same way, you see someone outside of your apartment who is not a white person, and you're like, should I call the police? You ask yourself, would I call the police? Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
That was weird. A lot of stuff just came up on your screen. You say to yourself, would I call the police if this were a white person? And if the answer is no, then you don't call, that sort of thing. You basically try to decolonize your thinking. Yeah. And even though you are a white person, you try not to react as you have been trained to do growing up in our society. That's basically the idea. But then when I say that you use it, what I mean is, if you were in a situation where someone should say something, you're like, oh, someone should say something about this.
Yeah.
And you have an inkling that because you're a white person, you will be able to say this and not get in trouble. Then you use your privilege for that. Now, that's not to say that you take away someone else's roles, responsibility. You don't say, well, as the white person, allow me to step in when someone is doing something fine.
Yeah.
It's when you see that there's a problem, basically. So that's the idea that I had. And of course, Ben, why am I thinking about all this?
Because it's
Thanksgiving
week and
historic times, Ben.
We are in historic
times, which is not great. Is
this from the Rittenhouse verdict?
Yeah. the
All
basic
right.
idea that as someone pointed out, um, this is not Kyle Rittenhouse because some newspapers in Great Britain saw that Kyle Rittenhouse had killed Black Lives Matter protesters
Yeah.
and said that he killed black people.
Right.
He had people who were shot during that altercation who were white, but one could argue that because they were there protesting for the rights of black people, that it didn't matter, and that's part of the reason why he was acquitted.
Right.
Now,
I think that's also telling where I mean I hadn't seen this publication, but I'm not surprised that a newspaper equated Black Lives Matter protesters to only people of color.
right, the assumption being that those would be the protesters,
Yeah.
which is an interesting assumption to make, and so that's what we're kind of talking about. We're kind of talking about, we have entered into a thing where basically it is said if you're scared for your life, you can shoot people, and that's fine. And this will be used, because of how the law works. This will be used as precedent for other cases of a similar nature, that kind of thing. No
Yeah.
good, not great.
From what and I haven't seen any of the footage from this incident, but
Mhm.
from what I understand, he was only being tried as to whether or not he was defending himself. There was they didn't bring into the trial the fact of the matter that he was driven across state lines illegally with a firearm by his mother, that he injected himself into this situation for no reason other than to someone like me might think just to have an excuse to kill people.
Oh,
But
I
apparently because he was a dude walking around with a semi-automatic weapon, people were like trying to take it away from him. And yeah, apparently he was defending himself, and that's why he was acquitted.
So I watched the trial. Once I started getting annoyed with all of the talk about the pixels and all that kind of, I'm like, okay, well, what else is
Yeah.
going on in this? And I watched the closing arguments. Prosecution brought up all the things you brought up. The fact that he has a gun that he should not have had. They said that. They talked about how he was from Antioch, Illinois, not from Antioch, Illinois is like about a half hour away. So, and across state lines. So, it would be like me going to St. Louis, which is still, I would say, like, if I were to go to St. Louis to defend an O'Reilly Auto Parts store, it's a little weird,
Right.
But the thing is that he was still, and I think this is how it worked. He was, they said he was, even though he had put himself in that situation, he had the right to defend himself. And that's the game changing thing that this ruling is going to have.
They being his defenders.
Oh, well, yeah. And I'm talking about overall, now that this trial has happened,
Yeah.
and this is the verdict of the trial, that other people will now feel okay to go to places armed, and if they feel threatened, shoot people. And it's just crazy.
It has set a very dangerous only if you're white, but yes, it has set a very dangerous precedent.
Well, and that's the thing, is it'll be the only if they're white thing. That'll be the second trial. That'll be the trial that happens eventually. I don't know when, but at some point in time, it'll be, and people will argue about why this situation was different, and then you're going to have this other, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel as though, and I could be wrong, but I feel as though that is going to be tested. It should be tested, in my opinion. Well, I hope nobody else gets shot, all that sort of thing. But yeah,
More
it
people are gonna die.
if this is a privileged thing, let's see what happens if that privilege is taken away, and all that. We already know though that we have already seen someone defending themselves in a similar situation. One could argue would most likely not have been acquitted. Let's just say that there have been circumstances similar where the race of the defendant was different, and this was not the outcome that they received.
Yeah.
I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
But the is it Aubrey? The other trial that's going on, is Aubrey the name of the person that was killed?
Ahmaud Aubrey.
So in that, I've been watching that trial now because it was happening around the same time, and I wanted to compare the way that it's been done, and that's the one that I'm really keeping my eye on now, because that was a situation where the other one, the way I said it to Jennifer when this is happening, the people in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, they were not my guys. And when I say they weren't my guys, what I mean by that is that everybody there were more physical. They were more physical people. They were out there protesting. They were out there, marching, doing things. Not something that I do.
Yeah.
Aubrey was walking around through a neighborhood.
Jogging
In a neighborhood that he quote unquote didn't belong in. And that's what the defense is setting up, that this is a really close-knit community and nobody knew who he was. And somebody was taking tools from this place. And he sort of matched the description. They're trying to make it sound like this neighborhood, because he was an outsider, a stranger, was justified in feeling that he was a threat and then going after him. And if that trial, which at least right now has a very competent prosecutor and a judge that I think is being fair in his readings of things,
more fair than what I hear the Rittenhouse judges acting like,
keeping control of his courtroom, being, I don't know, the Rittenhouse one, it made me mad just watching that. This one, and even the defense lawyer, well, there's one guy who I don't like in it, but they try their best to defend their clients, and I get it, but it's
their job.
They all seem more competent to me, and I really want to see where that trial goes, because the other one, didn't like it. If this one also, if the people in the Aubrey trial, and it's funny, it's a Rittenhouse trial and the Aubrey trial, but Rittenhouse is the guy who's the defendant in his trial. Aubrey is the victim in his trial. And yet at least when I talk about it, I do that because that's how it's talked about.
Yeah, that is how it's talked about. It's interesting that you bring that up because I don't actually know. So I don't know the names of the victims in the Rittenhouse trial, and I do not know the names of the defendants in the Aubrey trial.
Yeah, Rittenhouse. There's one whose name was Rosenbaum. I forget most of the folks too. But there's a guy named Travis. A first name Travis in the Aubrey case, and then his dad, and then a third person. And I haven't watched all these trials. I've been watching parts of them. So grain of salt.
People in this close-knit, I'm assuming predominantly white neighborhood, claimed that like tools are being stolen out of their garages. They see a black man jogging through the street, so these three good old boys hop in their truck to go confront him. These are the basics of what I've heard has happened.
so so here's what I can say. There the impression that I get is exactly what you were saying, um but with a little bit of nuance. The father and son were in one vehicle. There was another guy in another vehicle who tried to stop him with his vehicle. And we could talk about whether or not he tried to run him off the road or whether he was using, but I don't remember. And this is, again, this is a problem with me and not being uh well versed in the case. I will admit that. I don't remember if they had a prior relationship or not. The two people in the truck were related to each other. They knew each other.
Right, father son.
The other person in the other vehicle, and I forget what type of vehicle it is. I don't know if he knew the father and son or not.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
But the basic thing is that, yeah, it has very much become, and they're trying to make it a trial about that guy. Like, was that guy doing stuff in the neighborhood? Was Aubrey doing stuff in the neighborhood? Not about the people who killed him at all. And
Yeah.
it's very
Well, and that's that's what you
very
that's what I heard mostly coming out of the Rittenhouse trial is that the people that he shot had, like, one guy was, had a felony conviction or something. They focused a little bit too much on actions of the victims.
same thing in this. And I would say that the judge in this trial, anyway, is doing a better job of reminding people, hey, let's keep in mind that this is not what we're talking about. Like, for instance, the defense is really talking about citizen's arrest. What they are trying to claim is that these guys were trying to citizen's arrest the guy, and that in the course of them doing that, which they were justified to do, he became aggressive, and then they feared for their lives and shot him.
Yeah. And no,
I'm hoping that that's not what happens.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Again, I've not paid attention. I've just snippets from what I've heard. But, like, yeah, when these three guys or whatever, when Arbery was confronted, became somewhat violent because he was being attacked and was defending himself. Is that what happened?
The thing that the prosecutor, well, at least the testimony that I saw when the prosecutor was cross-examining the guy the person who pulled the trigger, there was a lot about him trying to get away first, him trying to run.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened at the very end of that.
So he was trying to do the sensible thing, just get away first.
Yes. That is the impression that I got from the testimony that I've heard so far.
All right. That is what you're told to do.
Yep. Exactly. And again, the question is, they're like, well, why was he running into this neighborhood? This is, our neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. It's a little.
You've come to the wrong neighborhood, mother.
Yeah.
Effer.
And I don't know. There's a lot of stuff about the stuff that I saw anyway. There's a lot of stuff about a Facebook page that they had set up. The video being leaked. There was video of the confrontation. And it was leaked. I saw that video
of the
public freakout.
These guys killing Arbery.
Yeah, at least some of it. I don't know if I watched all of it, but I saw, like, the lead up to it.
Yeah.
And it's not great. Not great for the defendants, in my opinion.
I have less of a stomach for that kind of thing these days. When I was in college and the internet was in its infancy, me and my dumb friends would search out all sorts of stuff. I've seen a guy decapitated, and because when you were in college and you could just search for things like that, hey, why not? But now, if I saw, if somebody posted on, if I'm scrolling through Reddit and there's like, oh, full 4K video of this thing happening, you get to see what actually happened. Yeah, No, not gonna watch it. I'll let someone else watch it. I'll let you watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it for you. I'm desensitized. Hey, so
I feel like
one
I
of the,
am as well, but I'm trying to get back to some sort
yeah.
of, sensitivity.
Well, you have to remember, as people have said, uh, employers of mine have said sometimes. Well, I am an android. I um, but here's the thing. I watched Cowboy Bebop, the whole thing, the whole series, the live action Cowboy Bebop, and I really liked it. I thought it was good, but one of the things that took away my enjoyment of it was the fact that I've been watching these trials. And so whenever anybody is shot with anything in the show, I'm like, okay, so in that situation, uh, they had pulled a gun on him. So therefore, I'm thinking
Yeah.
about all these things now instead of just enjoying people getting shot with guns, which is what I'm probably supposed to be doing.
Side note about Cowboy Bebop. I've not. Well, I think the only Cowboy Bebop is what I happened to catch at your house one night when there were a bunch of people over and that was on. But I hear
Yeah.
that the new live action TV show is almost like a shot for shot remake, and that it's kind of lifeless.
In some cases, it's shot for shot. I would not call it lifeless. I think this is what I'll say about it. I feel as though it is stylized, but not in a bad way. And I think that there is a chemistry between the characters, and I am interested in seeing what people who haven't seen the original anime think of it. I have a couple of people who
That would
haven't
be
seen the
me.
original anime. Yeah, have you watched it yet? No, you haven't.
I have not watched. It's not on my list to watch. I mean, I
Oh
feel that is a film for fans of Cowboy Bebop.
no, well maybe, but I really it's a series, it's a TV series, and
Oh,
the what I've told people is you do not have to have seen the anime
all
in
right.
order to enjoy it. It's completely its own thing. If you like science fiction, the thing that I had said, I feel like, well, I don't know. How did you feel about The Fifth Element?
I liked it. I've seen it maybe twice.
So that's how I think you would feel about this, maybe. It to me
It's
it feels the same.
a TV show. Probably not going to watch it twice, but
Yeah. It feels the same way to me as The Fifth Element did,
all right.
kind of.
How does it
It's
compare to
science
the live action Eon Flux movie?
better in my
Okay.
opinion. Yeah. Um and yeah, I mean, here's the thing. John Cho is playing his version of Spike Spiegel. This is what I would say is that you as a theater guy would get this. Some people don't get this. I went on a
Okay.
little bit of a rant about it in another forum. Um, John Cho is not doing an impression of Spike Spiegel from the anime. John Cho has taken the character and he is John Cho playing that character.
I do
You
like
know
me
what I
some
mean?
John Cho. Yeah.
And the same thing, the guy who plays Jet Black, whose name, sorry, I don't remember. I don't remember the name of the woman who plays Faye Valentine either, but they do the same thing. So you have these characters that you know and love, but the actors playing them are not playing them for the anime. They are approaching the roles
Do you mean
as they would play
it's
these characters.
their own interpretation of a role, much like an actor should do?
Exactly. And people don't like it in some ways. And then there are some changes. Oh gosh, the guy who plays Vicious too. Same thing. In the anime, Vicious is kind of, I don't know, I guess anime evil, where he's, and in this he's completely a different style of bad guy,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
It's funny too
So
because
yeah.
anime has actually been in the news a lot lately. We've probably heard about the Republican
Oh, yeah.
Congressman Paul Gosar.
And yeah, do you know what that was from?
No, I do not.
Yeah, it was from Attack on Titan. And this is something that people don't talk about a lot. Attack on Titan is about these giants that come in and attack villages and eat people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that, and this is what people don't talk about, at least what I've seen, the fact that it's interspersed with border stuff, that ad, they have people crossing the border.
Yeah, I know. Of people because Attack on Titan, there are giant walls around the city to keep these giant monsters out, right?
So and these giant monsters are trying to come in. So they're equating these mindless giants with immigrants.
With immigrants and refugee seekers.
Yes. Which is not great. But anyone who's seen and this is the thing, anyone who's seen the anime will know what they're doing.
Right.
If you haven't seen it, you may not get it. But yeah, so the people that guy's killing are of course giants who are in the anime thing, and so it's yeah. I saw a lawyer that I follow on TikTok talking about the fact that he's a bad guy, but the ad that he made shouldn't get him arrested or anything like that. He should still not be in Congress.
Yes, I mean a lot of people are comparing this to the fallout when Kathy Griffin posted a picture holding the head of Donald Trump, and
that's a great.
And somebody was like, "Sure, yeah, take away Kathy Griffin's congressional assignments too." I think she paid that price.
Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah.
No, but it's the whole like the right freaked out over Kathy Griffin, like she should be put in jail for saying this kind of thing.
Yeah.
While these same people are like, it's just a cartoon. What are you freaking out about?
Sorry, the reason that I stopped was when you said somebody said take away Kathy Griffin's congressional appointments. I thought that it was downplaying the thing that the other guy did, but it's not. Because Kathy Griffin is not
she's not a member of Congress.
Person.
But she did pay a price, right? She had gigs canceled. She was blacklisted for a while.
Well, and that's one of those things of I talk about it all the time. When it's our guy, we say it's okay.
Yeah.
So should Kathy Griffith have her gigs canceled? No. And I would wonder about the people who did that. Who are they answering to? What is their
advertisers and consumers? I mean,
I talked a little bit about
mobility network of the right. The right's ability to mobilize is stronger, I think, than the left's.
Yeah, have you heard about A Town Has Turned to Dust? Have I talked to you about it before?
No.
Okay, in the late 60s, Rod Serling wrote a play to be produced. It's called Playhouse. I think Playhouse 90 was the name of the show. It's a show where they would do plays, like how the Twilight Zone is episodic, the same sort of thing. You write a play, you put it on. So it wasn't a drama series that was serialized. It was, this time slot where new plays were produced, basically.
Yeah.
And he wrote this thing about a civil rights worker who's killed. And, the people in the town let it happen. And it was very controversial. And advertisers said that they weren't going to let it air.
Right.
So he rewrote it to where it took place in the past and on the Mexican border. And instead of it being a civil rights worker, it was a Mexican guy who had crossed the border and then they were allowed to put it on. And it was interesting to me because the story remained the same, and the lesson of the story remained the same. But as long as you didn't call it out specifically, it was okay.
Yeah.
And they could air it.
Yeah. That's not surprising. And I wouldn't be I'm sure that kind of chicanery still happens.
Well, I'm thinking, and so what I'm thinking though is that we might see this happening more and more.
Yeah.
So we might see this return, where people are actually running into a situation where they have to use metaphor a lot more in order to allow
your audio is cutting out on me. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. It's the mic cord that I'm using here.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it's sometimes as long as when I push it back in, it goes in. But from what I've understood, sorry,
a typical GudeLaurance podcast.
my headphones are made to have a 3-prong plug. Or
I know exactly the issue you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went around that by actually getting a cable. See, I can't hear what you're saying, but I'm just going to keep talking anyway. If you pick up an extension cable like this, that actually removes the 3-pronged issue. And you're laughing because you probably can't even hear what I'm saying, but you're watching me show you my cables. Yeah, still can't hear you. I'm wondering if your audio is actually still picking you up too. This might be interesting because
okay.
Hey, there we go.
So here's what's happening.
Yeah.
It's not. It's even more complicated than I thought. And I was talking to. This might be one of those cases where I was saying the same thing that you were saying.
I was just about to bring that up.
It's not the audio itself. It's also the Zoom program. When it stops detecting the audio, it will mechanically switch the input that it's getting through.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what exactly is on my...
All right. God damn it. Should be a good show.
Now, do you know why this is happening?
Because, well, from what you're telling me, you're putting a 3-pronged 1/8-inch plug into a jack that takes 2 prongs. And so the lines aren't lining up for whatever reason. I've noticed that in that situation, if you pull the plug out just a tiny bit, you will line everything up and it'll work properly. But it's a very tenuous situation. Are you even hearing me?
I am hearing you.
Okay.
So here's what I meant. When I say, do you know why this is happening? I meant more like in a philosophical way. Jennifer is at her mother's house. There's some family stuff that she's dealing with.
Yeah. Which is why we're doing this on a Sunday and not on a Thursday.
She is coming back on Wednesday. And when she comes back on Wednesday, she will have her headphones, which are normally the headphones down here that I use, which are the proper headphones.
Yeah, no, you cut out again. Yeah, can't hear you. Nope, can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me when I can't hear you. I'm assuming everything just cuts out. But for our viewers on the stream, and which there are none, so thankfully there's that.
And so I was still recording. So sometimes you can't hear me, but I'm being recorded on the stream.
That's great. Well, you're being recorded on your audio file, so when we put the episode together...
Sometimes. Other times, no. So
okay, good.
This will be very interesting to see what happens.
All right.
And, this one, maybe this will be a Rosetta Stone for someone. Like they're going to find out something about how audio works in the 21st century because of these problems that we're having.
Yeah, and it's also we are not alone in this. Now that everybody's trying to do home recording, so many people are not knowing what to do and trying to figure it out, which means that a lot of people are very forgiving of audio issues.
Yeah, now they understand.
Oh,
and for those future archaeologists who are listening to our podcast, because it's the only surviving audio from the 21st century, when we say
oh no, I missed it. When we say what? Paul? Probably blew out my own microphone there. Yeah.
when we say that there are 3 prongs, we didn't. Oh no! Okay,
I actually.
Ben, can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
I should be able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Why don't I hear you?
I don't know, but I'll just tell the viewers.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Could you check?
But you can. Nothing
Could you
on
check your side of things.
Nothing. The little green microphone on Zoom is bouncing. Nothing on my end is different.
Because I can hear myself, and you aren't muted.
No. I'm sending audio.
Okay, so this is a case, ladies and gentlemen, where Ben and I are both talking.
Yeah.
Ben can hear me. I can't hear him.
All right, so I'll just tell the viewers that I actually had I went out and specifically
and
bought
there's
a set of
no
headphones.
reason. Okay, I'm going to leave computer audio and come back and see if that
2 prongs on it. You know how hard it is to find a set of headphones that doesn't have a built-in microphone?
Okay. Ben?
Yes.
You can hear me, yes?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
I need you to.
Oh, then I can't. Now I can't hear you. You need me to what? You need me to what, Paul? Oh my goodness! The rest of the show is going to be this way. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to listen to this whole thing. I can't hear you at all, and you probably can't even hear me. Well, fortunately, the people on the stream only have my side of the conversation, and and I'm the least interesting of the two of us.
You are not muted.
No, I am not muted.
But for some reason, okay, hold on. I'm going to right-click on you.
It's all on your end. Because, again, I'm looking at my Zoom settings, and I can see the microphone.
Okay, I'm going to gallery view.
On the microphone. It's something with your headphones. I can't hear you. Now I can't hear you. I'm just going to sit back and wait for you to deal with this.
Now I can hear you. I can totally hear you.
I'm still just going to sit back and wait for you to deal with this. I don't believe it's fixed.
Oh, it's not fixed. It totally isn't fixed.
I'm just going to look at Twitter.
But I can hear you now.
I don't have TikTok. Even if I did, I would look at TikTok. Although I'm not going to join TikTok, but there is something that I saw on TikTok that I really liked. And it's what Reddit calls musical Jenga. And it is a duet chain. I think that's what they're called, a duet chain, where some guy's washing machine was making a noise, and they just basically created a song off of that. And I tell you now, since we're having all these issues, I'm gonna play it. So I'm gonna go to the musical Jenga subreddit because that's where I know where to find it. And see if I can just quickly scroll. I can hear Edward. Is that a thing? All right, that's
okay.
not it.
I am turning off Bluetooth.
Oh, that's always been an issue, hasn't it?
And
yep. That didn't help. I still can't hear you.
Not the only issue.
All right.
This might be a bad cord too. Maybe Jennifer took her good cord with her.
It's possible.
I found this cord on the floor. And that's the name of this episode.
I found this cord on the floor. So
this cord on the floor.
yeah, we're still having issues. I'm gonna see what that does. What's that? That is what I want.
What I was going to say, for those of you who are listening to this, when we say 3-prong, what we actually are talking about are 3-ring. If you look at the what is it, an eighth inch jack?
1/8 inch.
If you're looking at the 1/8 inch jack, there are 3 black rings, 2 for the stereo channels and 1 for the microphone channel. And what I've got on this only has 2 rings. So there's nothing for a microphone channel, but because I've got a microphone, it should be working. But as Ben was saying, the rings may be misaligned, and that might be part of the problem.
Yeah, that's a common issue.
It could also be the cord.
Yeah.
Like we said.
But you can hear me now, which is nice.
I can. I'm holding this, even though I don't know if this is actually helping or not. I'm pushing the cord in. It may not be helping at all. Oh, let's see. Here's a fun thing. Let's see if Audacity stopped recording when it didn't recognize a... Oh, no, it did. It's still recording.
Okay,
so
good.
That's good.
I'm gonna play this thing, and I'm actually gonna make it so you can see it. So now you can see us on your screen. And I'm going to play this thing that I've been listening to about 1,000 times. And
dry eyes, the tale of my life, and in the chamber and fire with gasoline. Strive higher than my predecessors, they to hit the peak and don't give any effort. Bitch, I'ma snatch your seat. Who deserve it but me? Who deserve it but me? What a burden to be, stuck in the cycle of trial and error. Who deserve it but me? Who deserve it but me? What a burden to be, stuck in the cycle of trial and error. The light is gonna be a mile away, and there's no point in stressing throughout the day. So just sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. If you do the 3 things, then you'll be just fine. Yeah, the light is gonna be a mile away, and there's no point in stressing throughout the day. So just sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. If you do the 3 things, then you'll be just fine. Yeah.
The right decision is to sit or stand. Think I'll give it a shot. Here we go, right now. Oh, I'm gonna lay back down. No way.
Slept last night with 2 socks on. I'm feeling all these other faces, but I'm putting on one. Cause I'm a host steady, got my fit ready. I'm a doing me, got no time to be petty. Man, I'm a feeling all this energy. I think I got a little something. Call me a minister to society. I'm doing me defiantly without the notoriety. Cause everybody knows I do it like this. Everybody knows I do it like I is. Everybody knows I dress like this, get down like this, do work like this, eat good like this. Yeah, I do it like this, and everybody knows it.
so I've watched that about 1,000 times.
Yeah, see, this is...
Hell, we were doing so good too. Yeah, that was nope, can't hear you. But what I think was clever about it is that that wasn't organically created. So there were duet chains and people added their own little bits. But then somebody went through. I'm assuming that final dude, since they gave him the most things, went through and created an actual song. And I think that was really clever.
Yeah, and you can... Stuff like that happens on TikTok a lot.
Yeah.
And did you see my Mr. Peanut TikTok thing?
I did not.
You have not seen any of my TikToks. You didn't see the haunted
Well,
house TikTok.
Your TikToks don't go viral on Reddit, so that's why I haven't seen them.
And thank goodness for that, Ben. Thank goodness for that is what I have to say.
Turn my volume down here.
But no, this is why you need to create a TikTok account, Ben, so that you can see all the TikToks that I do.
Yeah,
Because some of them are fun.
Why? I mean, I feel like I get my weekly dose of Paul Goody here.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's a good point. A very good point.
Anyway, there's that one, and there's another one that's based off of the sound a cat makes when it's licking up a spoonful of milk, which is also pretty catchy.
Oh, have you heard "Here Comes the Boy"?
I don't believe I've heard "Here Comes the Boy."
Oh, there's this woman sang a song. There was a cat who was coming over, and she was like, "Here comes the boy."
I think I have seen that.
Here comes the boy.
Yeah.
The boy. And then other people put music to it and stuff like same sort of deal. And then somebody else did one that's like, "Here comes the boy. Hello, boy." And now people
Bob
will
Odenkirk
use
do that one.
no. But people use the bad one for dumb looking things and the other one for cute looking things, basically. Which is nice. Speaking of cute looking things, hey Betty!
Also, that
hey, Betty!
On that video, that final dude reminds me a lot of Troy. So I can see Troy Lund doing something like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Here comes the Troy. Which is hey, wait a second. I should get a whole. I don't think Troy has a TikTok though.
I don't know.
If he did, that'd be great.
So put it past him. He's pretty hip.
What's that? Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past him. He's pretty hip.
He is pretty hip. Wow, we're almost 50. Me and Troy, getting close to it.
Getting close there.
Pretty crazy.
I'm.
That reminds me of that Onion article that one time. When they had point counterpoint, and it was life begins at conception versus life begins at 40, which I thought was pretty great.
I like what Bill Hicks said: "Is you're not a human being until you're in my phone book."
Yeah, that's nice. Very nice. Speaking of people who aren't in phone books, Betty has been doing like driver's ed stuff, things like that. She's becoming closer and closer to an adult and will be an adult in less than 3 years, which is crazy.
Hello.
Hey, so you're not getting the headphones, and the reason you're not getting the headphones is because the headphone cord that I'm using sucks, and if I hand it to you, the headphones will stop working.
Okay.
So I am going to.
I don't think Betty's too upset about that.
Yeah, exactly. Ben says he doesn't think you'd be that upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have Ben ask a question. I will relay that question to you. Ben, what is your question for Betty?
Is Betty on TikTok?
Betty, are you on TikTok?
Yes. I don't really post anything anymore.
Who is your...
I watch videos on TikTok. I like videos on TikTok. I comment on videos on TikTok.
Who's Betty's favorite TikTok creator?
Betty, who is your favorite TikTok creator?
I don't know. Probably Mud Consumer.
Mud Consumer.
He makes funny videos in a funny voice.
He makes funny videos in a funny voice.
Yeah, there's also this one guy, I forget his name, who duets videos of animals and
that guy
lays them out to be like, some kind of beasts of the apocalypse.
There's a guy who duets animals and talks about how deadly they are and things like that. It's pretty good.
And I'm assuming these are like cute puppies and cats and stuff like that.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say, Ben, is that Betty has obviously not been on TikTok lately because I've been putting out a lot of great content, and yet I don't see her liking any of it. So most likely she doesn't.
Maybe it's because I don't watch your videos.
She probably hasn't been using it at least for a really long time.
I think that's a pretty solid conclusion.
you.
Oh, you have a question for me or for Ben?
Why is there a hairbrush?
Oh, that's Mom's hairbrush. How
Why-
can you?
Why is there a hairbrush?
Why is there a hairbrush?
Yes, why?
Well, we're here in the pod where Mom does her audiobooks, but also where Mom does some of her TikToks.
Oh,
And so she probably had that brush because she was brushing her hair
I see.
before she did a TikTok.
Mhm.
And how can you tell that it's Mom's brush?
Because it has your hair in it.
That's right. And how do you know it's Mom's hair?
Because it's blue
That's right.
and green.
We
Green
did
blue.
it. We solved the mystery.
Jennifer has blue hair these days.
She does.
I've
It's
seen a
bluish
picture
green.
recently.
Bluish green.
Okay,
It's a
cool.
sort of an emerald green. It's really great.
I'm thinking
Right
about
on.
dyeing my hair pink again sometime.
Betty is thinking about dyeing her hair pink again sometime.
Does Betty
Stop
dye
repeating
her own
everything I
hair?
say.
Stop repeating everything Betty says, says Betty.
Can Ben even hear me?
Ben wants to know. Oh, Betty wants to know if you can actually hear her. Do I need to repeat what she's saying?
You do not need to repeat what she's saying. We all can hear Betty.
Oh man, why didn't someone tell me?
I did try to tell you, but you kept talking. You kept repeating
I
Betty.
don't know. We may never find out. But the important thing is, so Betty, I think that's it. Unless you have anything else you want to say to the people.
I love this dog.
Oh yeah.
I love this little dog. I love him so
Aw.
much.
Edward.
Okay, I'll see you later.
Okay. See you,
Bye,
Betty. Love
Betty.
you.
Love you too.
And we've got 5 minutes, Ben. Maybe
5
we should have
minutes?
gotten rid of Betty so soon.
I have 3 minutes on my clock. Maybe I think I started early.
Well, yeah. What? Betty yelled something. I didn't hear her.
It's awesome how you have
Oh,
to just.
she yelled your mom. That's weird. I
It's
don't
awesome.
think Betty even knows your mom, Ben.
Love how. Oh, well, she should get to know my mom. My mom's pretty great. But I love how you just constantly holding that cable into the headphones.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love
Yeah,
it. It
I'm
doesn't
sure-
hurt my hand at all.
Nope. I'm sure
Pretty
it's
good.
very comfortable.
Oh, I'll share something. Like we've mentioned, you're not on TikTok, so you don't get to see my cool TikToks. I was talking about the fact that at our grocery stores right now, there are no Uncrustables. The Uncrustables are all gone.
Those are sandwiches with the crust cut off, like pre-made sandwiches.
Frozen by Smucker's, pre-made with the crust cut off. And I remember I was in Seattle when Uncrustables came out. It was when I was unemployed and I was at Seattle Central Community College, and someone was complaining about it, and they said specifically, how lazy do you have to be to eat Uncrustables? What kind of person would eat those? And I raised my hand, and she was like, well, why? And I was like, do you know how hard it would be for me to press a sandwich into a disc and then freeze it and wrap it? It's much cheaper for me to buy them. And the reason that we had a problem is that she saw Uncrustables as being inferior to handmade peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Whereas for me, the Uncrustable was a field of white bread with frozen peanut butter and jelly inside of it, so it doesn't get messy. It's a perfect food.
Wait a minute. Were you not supposed to thaw them out somehow? You were supposed to eat
Probably.
them frozen?
What does it matter though? I ask
I
you.
don't know, it probably somewhat, man. If you don't want to eat frozen peanut butter, I'm assuming frozen peanut butter doesn't really taste all that good.
It tastes wonderful, Ben. And this is my point.
I'll
What
have to take your
people-
word for it.
What people don't understand, and again, this is touching on autistic talk kind of things. I love certain foods, and other foods I really don't like. Chicken McNuggets. When I first ran across them, Ben, I was on a family vacation into a test market area for chicken McNuggets. I got them. I loved them. And then we moved back out of the test market. And I was so sad because they didn't exist anymore, because they were simple. They were just chicken McNuggets. I could eat them and have no problem. Whereas with a cheeseburger from McDonald's, I'd have to ask them not to put ketchup and mustard and pickles on it. And sometimes people forgot. And if I would get that, it would be difficult. And the hard thing for people to think about, this is where they say, well, just toughen up, whatever. If something were I'm 48 years old now. I can eat stuff that I don't like. I can eat stuff I don't like without complaining about it even. But
Yeah.
as a kid, and I'm not being melodramatic or anything, if I was supposed to eat something that had a texture that I did not like, imagine that the food that you're eating is rotten. And that's what it was like for me. It was, I would gag. I would actually, and toughen up, kid. What are you doing? Well, it doesn't work that way. You feel how you feel about it.
I believe you, because I wouldn't say that I was that exact same way, but I was very, very stubborn when I was a kid, and I refused to eat something that I just decided I didn't like.
And it was tough, right? I mean, could you have powered through it?
I think I was forced to by my parents.
Yeah.
Like, you are not leaving the table until you eat all of that.
Yeah. So sometimes I never left the table. It was one of those things of, I would not break before them because I had I am actually physically disgusted on my side. So I was a really thin kid, anemic. And if they would have just fed me the things that I would eat and not care about variety and all that, I would have been much better off. But
I can't imagine how hard it is as a parent to try to, you don't always have the money to make sure every single kid has their own diet.
Yeah. Well, at least for an only child, it's a lot easier. And, the big thing for Betty is it's just like, all right, well, for me, it's easy. This is what she'll eat. I'm going to buy this and then we're good.
My uncle tells this story about when he was a kid, and my grandparents did the same thing. It's like, you can't leave the table until you finish what you're eating. And he was complaining that he didn't feel well. He was going to throw up, and they're like, they thought he was lying just to get out of it.
Ooh,
but ultimately he did get sick at the table, and that was and my mom says, yeah, that was the last time they ever forced us to eat something.
That's good. Yeah. Parents need to learn, man.
Yeah. I think
leave those kids alone.
When you're cleaning up child vomit off of the roast beef, I think you've learned your lesson by that point.
And with that note, thank you for listening to the GudeLaurance podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Paul Goody. That's Ben Lawrence. And until next time, keep it wrong.
Keep it wrong.